live streaming a podcast launch party, the Western Authors Podcast, Spotlight Podcast with our host, Frank Fiore. And, when you think about when we came up with the name, there is no other podcast out there that highlights Western authors. And Frank is one, as he has his cowboy hat on, but I'm first going to invite that's on the call today, Paul Hollis, author of the Holloman series, owner of Holloman Publishing and American VA. Paul, how are you? And we're here to celebrate Frank launching his podcast.
Yes, this is going to be really fun and informative for Western readers and authors as well.
Exactly, because now we're finally going to get to highlight the authors, and that's fantastic. So, Frank, your thoughts about when we were shooting this? We were recording a lot, and the books we wanted to have that come out when correspondence with the books. You know,
Yeah, want to go into an author. What makes a Western a Western, and why but each individual author thinks that he is addressing that. I mean, the Westerns go from everything from your common everyday story with the cowboys and there's gunfights and everything, but it also goes way out to some really interesting adaptations of it. Take for instance the Sean Connery movie, okay, Outland. Okay, that's basically the same plot as High Noon, but it takes place on on a space station. So it's really fascinating, but that's a Western also. So the Western genre can be very, very creative. Like mine, for instance. I bring in my latest book series, Jonathan Smythe, The Cowboy Sleuth. I bring in Jack the Ripper. It's like he's an English cowboy, an English sleuth, goes to America to chase down Jack the Ripper, which is one of the theories of whatever happened to him after his brutal killings in England. But that's a different take. Okay, what do we got? You got a British sleuth who's really going to be a cowboy in England and Britain. I mean, and far out west, trying to trace Jack the Ripper. So you can see, you can be very creative with these things. I have another series that I'm going to do called Kit Carson in Africa. Right? We know darn well that Kit Carson never went to Africa, but his relative is Jimmy Kit Carson. Okay, he goes to Africa, and so we're going to have a whole series about cowboys in Africa. It's going
wow.
to be very interesting.
What's interesting all about this is the why Westerns blew up so much when it comes to books. We talked to a guy that was the publisher, one of the first podcasts. He owns a publishing company, Dusty Saddle, and we got as you'll see, the podcast series starts with him all the way up, and then has a bunch of interviews with Frank. So there's about 14 podcasts, I think, already in the queue for you guys to listen to, but we're going to be interviewing a lot more Western authors. But what is your take, Frank, when why this genre has blown up so much?
Well, it touches it touches a place in somebody's soul about being America. I mean, if a Western is as American as you're going to get, every other genre you could call it whatever you want. They get different cultures and different whatever, but the Western is strictly America. The American values, American individualism, American freedom, the American loyalty, all the values that we hold as sacred in America is displayed in a Western. All right, and that really touches the soul of a reader. That's why Westerns are so popular in Europe. I mean, they don't have anything like this. Okay, there's no European value system of a genre in there in Europe. And that's why Europeans love to read Westerns, because it shows the best value system and the best of America.
And that's where people were going to say that's what it's happened, is that you're just seeing specifically enough family life, hey, if somebody's not obeying the law, because the law is important, so the bad guy comes in, the law is going to take care of him, right, Frank? Mostly.
That's supposed mostly, but then there's that genre of the anti-hero. The Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, that movie. That was the anti-hero. Okay, they were bad people, but they do get their comeuppance at the end anyway.
So let's, when we talk about, the Western author, The Western authors that we interviewed were quite interesting coming from Europe. You wouldn't think someone from Europe would be writing about Westerns, right?
Right. Yeah, well, we had a few of those, and that were very interesting. And what were they doing? They were expressing the American values in their books.
And then also we had some people that, were straight up Western. Not growing up in Brooklyn like Frank, but straight Westerners, right?
Yeah, they just get on that horse, get in a gunfight, rob the stage. I mean, just everyday westerns that people believe in. Okay, but uh, but the what was I saying? Um, I got
Yeah,
distracted.
no,
But yeah,
that's okay. We gotta get to you.
but yeah, it's just the like I said, it ranges. The westerns range, but no matter where you range, you still got the good guy chasing the bad guy, or even if the bad guy is a semi good guy, he has to pay for what values he's holding.
And when you're talking to the guests, especially all the guests we interviewed right off the bat, we've been interviewing a lot of interesting people on Fridays. Fridays with Frank is interesting podcast. I guess we're launching. We'll call it Fridays with Frank Fiore, another podcast for Frank. But when we're talking about this Western authors spotlight podcast, what you gathered in these conversations is you asked lots of questions of why they became an author, but more, you really wanted to know the background, but also how they're marketing it, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's a whole different thing. You write a book, but how do you market it? How do you? I mean, it's it's the Western at least in a Western genre. Unlike many of the other genres, it's pretty focused, and you know what your reader is looking for. Okay, but in a Western, you know what it is. There's certain values, certain elements in there. There's the gunfight. There's the there's the sheriff and a marshal going after the bad guys. So yeah, so for marketing, it's pretty good because all you gotta do is you try and get that Western that Western market and so your marketing efforts can be very, very focused because the genre is.
We're asking everybody out there to listen to the podcast. So if you're on X right now, if you're on Facebook, if you're on LinkedIn, it's available on Apple Podcast, Western Authors Spotlight Podcast, and you can check it out right over there and write an Apple Podcast review. Go ahead, listen to it. It's the only Western podcast, only Western author podcast out there. So, Frank, you're the first one. No one else is doing one, just interviewing Western authors.
Yeah, and we want to promote the Western. I mean, the people out there, where do they go? They go to Amazon and they look at the books. Are the Westerns any good? Or what value, what image are they trying to expose with their books? And this podcast, we're going to talk a lot about those Western values and how they're being used by the Western authors and how they're playing with them, because you got to be very, very creative, and some of these authors are very creative, and they're playing with the Western genre. They're coming up with new ideas, everything but everything but
Yeah. No,
yeah,
I agree. So let's talk, Frank, your story of how you started to want to be a cowboy.
well,
That's the story.
it's simple. You look at the 10, 11, 12 years old, and what are we doing? We're playing what was called guns. Let's go play guns, okay? We strap on some six shooters, and I'm sorry about this.
Yeah, you're getting hit up, and I'm going to make sure we retweet out there as we're live on my Twitter account as Frank Fiore. Because again, that's one of the more interactive ones is X for live. Certain platforms are really hot. X is really hot when it comes to live. They want different content. So, Paul, did you ever want to be a cowboy, Paul? I never did. That's all. I'll flat out say that. Never wanted to be a cowboy.
No, actually, I didn't. I'm half Indian, so I wouldn't be a good cowboy.
Oh, you wouldn't be a great cowboy. And I guess my story of being giant Butch Bronson working in Bremen, Germany, I had the cowboy hat on in one of the video podcasts, and Frank didn't show up, or he dialed in. He missed the opportunity to see me as that. But that is interesting. The pro wrestler being a cowboy. There's some pretty interesting ones, some crazy ones too, Frank. And having me play it, that's not me. No, I don't want to be a cowboy.
You know, what was interesting is when we were kids and we were playing guns, right? We've actually played what characters. We redid the actual Western movies that were out there. We said, oh, let's do such and such movie. Let's do such and such movie. So we weren't just, just got our guns out or out there chasing each other. We were actually picking up characters in a movie, and we play those, and we'd actually act them out. And so that was very interesting. That we actually created take an existing story, existing movie we saw, and then we actually played those characters. So that was fascinating.
No, absolutely fascinating and interesting to look at. They say right now, just to tell you why I got to start doing X more. They say we have 8 live on X right now. So that just on the X channel, it's weird. I'm on to throw about 20 different X out for live streaming, but I'm just checking to let people know. And we are live other places as well, Frank, but that's the one where you can interact. I retweeted it. I'm trying to see how it looks like Periscope, because it does look like you can do hearts and everything. And I'm trying to figure out how it works right now, Frank. But I just retweeted it right now, and we're live, and we have 11 live. So we keep getting up. So let's go. Everybody that's listening. So that's interesting. That's why I said I'm thinking of having 4 or 5 X accounts to stream all the show, because at least X is performing that once live. I'm trying to get TikTok. But okay, so back to the cowboy. Your first time on a horse, Frank. How was that?
Yeah, I've been riding most of my life. Yeah, the first time was many years ago. I don't even know what I thought about it. It's just I climbed on the horse and that was it. What I found out though about horses, okay, is that you've got to let them know who's boss. And I would ride with some of my friends over the years, and they would let the horse tell them what to do, and I'd always have to switch horses and give them the one I was on in order to get control of the horse that they had. But I've been thrown lots of times, not lots of times, but I've been thrown enough. Then when you get thrown, you get on, you get right back on again. But the last time was the most strangest time that I've ever had before on a horse. This horse decided just to stop and lay down and roll over, and I'm on his back. And oh my God, I got a 1,000-pound animal ready to roll over on me. I had to scramble out from under him. But so that was a very interesting experience on a horse, and I've had other ones. But again, you just have to get back on, show the horse who's boss, and move forward.
All right, just to let you know, 16 live on X right now. I think we found a new place, but I went and commented, hey, make sure you go ahead and listen to the Western podcast. So is it easy for you to jump on a horse now? No problem. You can ride horses
now. At my age, no. It's great getting on, is getting off. The problem. They don't have the hip motion anymore. But I still like to ride. When I get the chance, I love to ride.
Okay. Well, that's part of being a cowboy, but there's other parts I don't want to be a cowboy again. So this is going to be my whole thing. Another part that I don't like being a cowboy, I don't want to do any work. I don't want to work with my hands. I want to hire somebody to do it.
Well, don't you want to do city slippers, city slickers? That sounds like they had a lot of fun doing that. There was a time I used to work with a friend of mine that was a stuntman. And he'd do cowboy stuff. They're getting shot and getting knocked down and stuff like that. And we were at this hotel that they were doing for the tourists. The tourists were going to get into this the coach and stagecoach, and they would take them from the hotel to this make-believe Western town, and where they could have a barbecue and they see a show. and we would do that. We would do that show, and he had everything outlined, and they would shoot each other. They'd shoot me with a blood bag and stuff like that. It was kind of fun. But we had to, while they're in the stagecoach going to the picnic area, where this Western town, they decided that they were going to ambush them, show the tourists what it was really like. So we put on our masks and stuff like that, and then get on the horses and whatever with our shotguns and rifles, and I was wondering, going, my God, when you get there, they're going to shoot this shotgun off. I wonder what this horse on them is going to think with this loud shotgun going off. And it did, but I didn't lose control of them. But it was just interesting. It was fascinating experiences with horses.
All right, I'm going to go try to play around going on my account. All I did was like it, Frank, but it's a new thing. 19 live right now. I'm going to go jump into right on my Twitter platform. Frank, the thing that people will have to do, and I'm right here, and I'm trying to see if I can play around with this to see if there's more interactivity in this fall. It looks like at the end there is. We have 20 live. All right, let's keep it going. They don't really tell the truth, Restream.
I'd like to hear from them and see what they.
Yeah, I know. If they're live watching, why don't they talk? And I don't know. We don't know, and that's why I'm going to just go ahead and type in your podcast for people to check it out. Again, Western Author Spotlight Podcast. But it looked like they were trying to make it like when I went in at the end, it looked like you could send hearts and everything, and they got rid of that. I was saying, oh, cool. We're finally going back to the days of one of the best interactive programs, Periscope. But no, we have 21 live, Frank, just on that platform alone. I don't even know how many are live other places. I could go check. But again, you have to be able to talk. I'm trying to conduct this and do this at the same time. We're up to 22 live. So my goal is we're going to launch 4 or 5 Twitter accounts now, Frank. LinkedIn, I've not looked at LinkedIn numbers, but everyone tells me when I go live on LinkedIn, but we're live on your LinkedIn today, Frank. They're like, when do you work? I said, this is what I do. I'm like, this is what I do. I talk to people. I mean, I'm not just doing a show to do a show. I give a platform and we go out there, we talk. So Frank, that's the thing. The amazing thing is, what if we can get TikTok rolling, Instagram live? I got to figure all this out in live streaming and go to the platforms that want live streaming. Facebook is dead. They don't want live streaming. They hardly get any live stream. It's a waste. That's my take. But okay. So people need to go check it out, write out a review. If you're listening right now, go ahead and comment, please. And I'm going to go check this because I swear it has hearts and everything. Maybe you have to go to the live part. I'm testing this out and playing around. See if you click anything else on here. How do you go when it says it's live? Do you go, is there a spot to go for live? I have no idea. I'm learning this, Frank, as we go. But we at 22, now 24 live. Go figure. So we're up to 24 live. All right. What would you want? What do you want as a Western? First of all, you got to be able to ride a horse. Second, you got to be able to go ahead and do manual labor. What's the fun thing about being a cowboy?
Being an individual, having the freedom to do what you want to do. I mean, they're not talking about real cowboys, okay?
Yeah.
The real American cowboy, all right? And he was not a joiner, okay? He was looking out there on the frontier, and he wanted to be alone or work his own life. He would, no government control, okay? And it was just he just wanted to do his own thing, and when he was able to do it legally, it took a lot of work. What he had to do, he had to pick a particular profession, which is another interesting thing about the lawmen. Lawmen were more often than not originally outlaws, gunfighters, and on the other side of the law. And some of these outlaws became lawmen, very well-known lawmen. So you can see that they could switch roles. Like it's looking at those values and say, how can one side you're being against the law and the other side you're defending the law? And they make that switch. and of course they probably knew more about it than someone that was just went to school to become a sheriff, you know.
Okay, there's a lot of boredom being a cowboy as well.
Oh yeah, home on the range. Yeah, right, just sitting there around the
Do you know the
campfire.
song? Do you sing the song Home
No,
on the Range with the deer and the antelope play?
no.
Is solemnly heard a disturbing word. I don't know the whole song at all. Home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play. Remember that song? Who wrote
Yeah.
that?
You know, I don't really know. Was it maybe Gene Autry?
I'm sure you got to be listening to Gene Autry. Okay, what is the best cowboy meal?
Well, if you remember Blazing Saddles, they sit around the
Oh,
camp.
Blazing Saddles was so what was the favorite cowboy meal? Oh,
Well, that's
beans,
what we
right?
get. Beans is that's easy to cook, easy to carry, just in a can, you know, and that's about it. Yeah, and jerky, you know, but if you're lucky and you're on a trail ride and the cook had some meat and maybe you get a steak or something like that, but most of it it's beans and well, there's no salads. I'll tell you that. The West wasn't run eating salad.
Elon, we're up to 31 live, by the way. We keep getting up the longer we go live. That's crazy. That's what they said about TikTok now. You got to stay on for 4 hours to start getting the stream live more. We're up to 31 live now. The point, that's one platform. I have no idea what the other platforms are, just focusing on trying to figure out what the heck's up with X. Bring back Periscope, Elon. Bring back Periscope. Now, when you talk about singing brought more people on, go figure, but no one's able to interact. They used to have like the hearts and everything. Who knows? I'll have to go check that out.
Well, let's ask them what's their favorite Western movie.
Yes, comment in the comments on X what your favorite Western is. And who knows if these are from all other countries? We don't know. But see that, but we're showing the popularity of Westerns. Now, it better tell me the truth. When this restream is over, it'll tell me the numbers and say, you're up X. Well, Frank, maybe you're a big draw. Maybe everyone was here to see this. And that's the important thing. What kind of draw is a draw? Hey, our noon show does very well on Friday. People like checking that out. I don't know what happened. Is that somebody else? All right, so let's kind of go deeper into favorite food, baked beans. So you're gonna do a lot of farting on the West. What else? The basically the jailhouse in the West, the Cowboys. What about any types of vermin out there you have to worry about? Snakes?
Yeah, the vermin. So sure, we got coyotes, of course. Those are the coyotes. Those are always in the Western. And you got the rattlesnakes, coyotes, rattlesnakes, and that's about it. Those are the two things you'll see pop up more and more in Westerns. And if you really wanted to get some more action in there, you might have to get like cougars and bears. So those are all dangerous. So those are the animals or vermins that pop up. And in stories that would use them, the coyotes would be the ones that are attacking the cattle, or more like the cougars and the mountain lions would be stories about the cowboys defending their herd away from those kind of predators. And of course, you're always going to find the top predators in any of the westerns that are the mountain men, and they'll run into them in there. So yeah, I haven't found a Western story that focuses primarily on one vermin and make them the subject of the story. Maybe some of the people out there may come up with some recommendations of books or movies that focus us on a particular dangerous predator and make that the focal, as opposed to just something around on the outskirts that the hero or the cowboy has to deal with. I'd like to hear something like that.
All right, so you have 35 live right now. So I guess the longer you go, the more people. But here's the problem: they had the interactive things, they had the hearts. They got somehow they changed things again. Elon changes things like a drop of a hat. What about Elon on the West? What would you think of Elon Musk on the West?
I know that I have very little understanding of.
Do you think he would like to be, in Prescott right now?
In where? Sorry.
Prescott,
Oh,
Arizona.
oh yeah, oh yeah. It's a very Western town. Western, and it's very conservative with cowboy values. Lots of cowboy stuff up here. A lot of like we just had a Western artists display down at the display down on in the middle of Prescott, and showing off Western art. They have a thing called the Cowboy Poets Society, and they have that once a year. So it's very much Western here at Prescott. That's why I love it so much. That's why I'm glad I moved here from Phoenix, which is very just a cosmopolitan city, and everything is Western up here. I mean, we got Whiskey Row, which is very famous, and I only live 7 minutes from Whiskey Row, and they got the Palace, which is the oldest standing saloon in America. They got the oldest cowboy rodeo, the most oldest rodeo still in existence. So yeah, it's a very Western town. Cowboy hats around and what have you. And I really enjoy living here, especially up here in the mountains with the trees and the animals and all that.
Your book comes out June 1st, right? Is it, Paul? Is that when the first book comes out? June 1st?
Uh, no, it is out today, as a matter of fact.
Oh, okay. Oh, is it pre-order today, or
No,
the
no,
first book's out?
it's for sale. Yeah,
Okay, so
both paperback
so
and
Frank,
ebook.
not just write a review, listen to the podcast. They can purchase your first book. Give us the title, and then we'll talk about frankfiore.com. We're going to finish up, and we want to thank the huge audience on X, as we're probably going to say goodbye. 41 people live for today's podcast launch, and I don't. We're up to 45. Oh man, but see, I want to be able to interact. I don't care there's 45 people live, Frank, but I guess the longer you go, we'll start doing TikTok and all those things we just talked. But best place, Frank, to pick up your book, it's available on Amazon and also your website, frankfiore.com, right?
Yeah, the first book in the series, I talked a little bit about it, about the British sleuth chasing down Jack the Ripper out west here. And the name of that book is Jonathan Smythe, Cowboy Sleuth. All right. And this particular book is the case of the Screaming Tunnel. So that's the first one.
All right. Well, awesome, Frank. Appreciate it, sir. All right. frankfiore.com. I got to say goodbye on a big live, but I guess we're going to be checking out. But why did they get rid of the hearts? That would be a great way to interact. And I don't know. I might be taking my show away from Facebook. Sorry, guys. I mean, if I have 8 places to stream, I might stream 8 X counts because I know how to grow X. And Threads isn't going live yet, but that'll be another platform. Appreciate it, guys. All right, that was a special Western Author Spotlight podcast.